Okay, friends. I have been traveling since Tuesday. This is my 5th trip in 5 weeks. We're gonna need a little bit more love and energy than that. So we'll try this one more time. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't asking for a lot, just like, a simple good afternoon. Ain't never hurt nobody. Thank you all so very much for inviting me to be here and present and part of such a wonderful experience. I've already learned so much today, and I am increasingly encouraged by the possibilities of our collective industries. In the same way that each of us are here today because we understand that every building tells a story of humanity, either of dignity or exploitation, our team at Mass is driven by the belief that design is never neutral. We understand that decisions about the built environment often reinforce inequalities, deepening the challenges of climate change, health disparities, and economic exclusion. As a nonprofit design collective, we leverage philanthropic support to undertake research, catalyst projects, and system change initiatives that are focused in areas where design is urgently needed, but grossly underfunded. Our design labs are at the heart of our strategy and turn insights from our projects into sustained movements for change. Through these labs, we address systemic problems to heal and strengthen communities with focused investment. Research and advocacy ensure that the lessons learned in one community are then made accessible for communities worldwide. And so I will briefly share information about 2 of those labs today. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution driven by unsustainable development and resource extraction are accelerating at an unprecedented rate. Simultaneously, conventional construction practices continue to exploit materials and labor, leaving behind environmental destruction and systems that fail both people and the planet. By restoring landscapes, challenging supply chains, and embedding care into the built environment, we create systems that sequester carbon, regenerate biodiversity, and improve human well-being. Our work in the Abundant Futures Lab transforms how and why we build, advancing practices that honor ecological limits while cultivating abundance for ecosystems and communities alike. But these same communities and societies worldwide have struggled to confront and address histories of violence, oppression, and injustice. Public spaces and memorials have often excluded narratives, erasing stories that deserve recognition, and therefore perpetuating systems of harm and inequality. Communities cannot heal, reconcile, or advance toward a more just and equitable future without spaces for collective remembrance and reckoning. By designing memorials, monuments, and public spaces that honor untold stories and histories, we, collectively, can create opportunities for learning, dialogue, action, and of course, joy. The Public Memory and Memorials Lab demonstrates how, in partnership with organizations across the globe, design can make justice visible, fostering belonging and inspiring communities to take ownership of their collective future. An example of a project that sits at the intersection of these 2 labs is the Sugarland 95 Memorial Project. In 2018, construction workers discovered the remains of 95 individuals buried in an unmarked mass grave at a school construction site in Sugar Land, Texas. Historical and archaeological research revealed that these individuals were victims of the convict leasing system, a post-Civil War labor regime that effectively re-enslaved incarcerated people, many of them young Black men. Evoking the stages of a traditional homegoing, a dignity, Evoking the stages of a traditional homegoing, a dignity these 94 men and 1 woman were never afforded, the site will become a memorial and outdoor learning environment that honors those buried there. But the memorial does not simply mark a burial site. It creates a landscape where visitors confront the reality that systems of forced labor continued long after the abolition of slavery, and that these systems fuel the economies we collectively thrive on. The convict leasing system that bolstered the development of Sugar Land, Texas, is part of the same historical lineage of exploitation that the Design for Freedom movement seeks to eliminate today. This project is uniquely positioned to bring our memorials work into the conversation of material supply chains because it comes full circle, transforming a history of forced labor into a model for transparency, dignity, and restorative design in the built environment. Ultimately, we're asking, how do we build a future without reproducing the injustices embedded in our past? And this project, once it is complete, will certainly not be alone. The memorial to enslaved laborers at UVA, the memorial to enslaved persons at Baylor, and Nikisha Durrett's Don't Forget to Remember Me at Bryn Mawr are all examples of projects across this country that are confronting the legacy of enslavement, and they are using design to surface erased histories and shape a more honest collective history. If we are able to fundamentally shift architecture as being perceived as only a service industry, but instead a knowledge-producing discipline, then we can better contribute to course-correcting our collective consciousness. We are not merely designers, but rather we are ethical stewards of systems. Beyond focusing on form and performance, we can also focus on justice, labor, and health. By looking deeper into our supply chains, questioning our materials and processes, and investigating the histories that feed our societal systems, we can lay the groundwork for resilient, thriving ecosystems that bolster both planetary and human flourishing. Thank you.